Hey everybody, welcome back. Today is July 19th, 2018. My name is Teri Hunter. I'm an angel therapy practitioner, Reiki master, empowerment coach, and intuitive guide, and I'm here with this week's Messages from Your Angels by Astrological Sign. If you'd like to learn more about me, my services, or to book a private session, please feel free to go to my website at www.terihunter.com. That's TERIHUNTER.com. The contact information is below. All right, guys, I just want to start off letting you know that I think I said it last week. We had our first eclipse in a series of 3. The second will be coming next Thursday here in the United States. That's July 27th. It is the closest lunar eclipse in over 100 years. We also have Mars going retrograde, Saturn going retrograde. Mercury is going to be going retrograde, I believe, starting July 25th. All of this planetary activity is really kind of creating a very spiky dynamic for a lot of us. There's going to be people, places, situations that just seem to crop up out of nowhere. Very unexpected events can potentially happen. Many times, lunar eclipse or any eclipse will bring forth fated events within our lives. These fated events are not always challenging and negative, but sometimes they can be. So the reason I'm telling you all this is so that as you walk through this coming week, regardless of what your particular dynamics are, as you can be mindful to show up the way you would like someone to show up for you, I think you'll find yourself swimming through this eclipse season a little bit more effortlessly than if you're just reacting. So again, I want to say, watch out for road ragers. Be careful of people who are just sort of just out of nowhere seem to maybe have unexpected reactions to things. All right, so let's jump into Aries. Let's see what Spirit has to say for you this week. All right, Aries. Our first angel is Grace and Antoinette. The second is Bethany. The third is Indriel. And the final card is Opal. Okay, so I just got done saying that, there's a high potential that people will be unnaturally or unusually reactionary, sensitive, slightly taking things personally, etc. So Grace and Antoinette standing in the foundational position for my Aries is a card of compassion. And it's a card of not only trying to have compassion for others, but having compassion for ourselves. In the opportunity or the obstacle, I have the card Bethany, which is a card of self-care. And she talks about physical self-care, maybe getting a manicure or a pedicure, which may be applicable to some of you this week if it helps you relax through this kind of choppy energy. Because in the third position, the angel's advice, I've got Indriel asking you to really remember who you are versus how you may be feeling. Aries is ruled by Mars. I just got done saying that Mars is retrograde. So you may find yourself really wanting to just push to get to that, push it over to the other side, get it done. And in some respects, this is just a time when I think Aries has to realize that you are not completely in control of everything. There are other people, other places, other dynamics that are involved. So as you practice not only compassion for others as they maybe muddle through, or maybe, some people might not be on their game either. So as you can give them a little wiggle room, this will really help you implement Bethany's energy of taking care of yourself, kind of not overly being responsible for the dynamic. In the final position, I have Opal, which is a card about children, about that our children are safe on heaven and in earth. And for many of you who have children, that may be true. But again, I always repeat this, as a collective, when I see the children cards, I think of them as our inner child. So as you take this week to be slightly more mindful of the ego of others as well as yourself, as you can adopt a childlike innocence that says, well, maybe that person's just having a bad day. Maybe it doesn't have anything to do with me at all, and I just happen to be the straw that broke the camel's back. Okay, Aries, it's not terrible. It's not terrible. It just feels like I'm really managing personalities this week versus experiences and dynamics that way. All right, let's go on to Taurus. What does Spirit have to say for you this week, Taurus? It's funny, as I started to check into your energy, I got something to do with the home, as if there'll be a lot of focus on the home this week, the home environment. And I want to say sort of even maybe making a little extra effort to make your home aesthetically pleasing, so that if you too are dealing with choppy energies around you, when you come home, you feel like you've walked into a sanctuary, into your little sacred place. Okay, my first angel is Rosetta, the second is Isabella, the third is Serena, and the final is Francesca. So Rosetta is a card that talks about having a gift working with young people, parenting, and teaching. So I want to say this as a collective, Taurus. Yes, again, many of you may have children, but I don't know that Spirit is talking to you right now about directly teaching them, as much as you are experientially showing your children or the people around you how you take care of you. And this is having a bigger thought about things. This is also, again, adopting a childlike innocence in some ways, that the things that you need. And I really want to go back to your home environment right now. If some of you are feeling in flux in that home environment, or there's tensions in the home environment, allowing yourself the opportunity to know that these things are temporary, and that things are going to course correct at some point. I've got Isabella saying that the timing is right for this new venture, and I have Serena in the Angel's Advice talking about abundance, financial, material resources. I think that the home may be in flux for some of you. Maybe you're going through a move, maybe you're remodeling, maybe you're just doing, sprucing the place up. Whatever the dynamic is, Spirit is asking you to adopt that childlike innocence that says, it's all going to work out fine. Francesca's in the final position, asking you to focus in on what it feels like once this whole situation is accomplished. So let me throw a random scenario out for you. Let's say that you find you're having to move. You don't really know, it's unexpected, and it's just a little disruptive. I kind of feel like as you go through this particular move, rather than letting the disruption lead the way, stepping back and looking and going, what do I really want? Where do I want to live? What kind of environment? What kind of people do I want around me? Do I want a quiet residential neighborhood? Do I want to be closer to the action? I feel like Spirit is asking you to my Taurus is to look at their home environment and what they want, and then to almost strategically plan for that dynamic, rather than the how will it happen, or I don't know if I can afford it, and then allow Spirit to open things up a little bit. All right, let's go on to Gemini. All right, Gemini. As I'm shuffling the cards, I'm feeling new business opportunities, or at least the beginnings and talks of collaborations or ideas popping back and forth between new people. All right. Okay, my Geminis. So in my foundational position is Bethany, and Bethany is a card of self-care. She talks about getting a manicure and a pedicure, and that's all terrific. But to me, it's always the bigger self-care. It's the self-care that says, if I want something, I can actually make it happen. I can actually step into a vibration, into an energy that allows me to bring that dynamic into my life. Gemini, you are the sign of the twins. I say that almost every week. So you have a way of weighing things, going back and forth, back and forth. If you spend too much time in the scenario that does not work out for you, you will start to create evidence that it's not going to work out for you. In the angel's advice, I have Celeste, which talks about a happy move to a new home or a new place of employment. And I was just talking to Taurus about their home environment. But for you, I really think this is about your mind, because you live in your thoughts. And I don't mean that in a way that you're not grounded in the earth. It's just that you're constantly comparing right to left, black to white, all the potentials that can happen. And falling on the side of things that aren't going to work out for you, or the struggle of it, is going to enhance the struggle of it. By sheer focus of the struggle, okay? So I have Rosetta in the Angel's Advice. Again, as a collective, this is where I feel like you can really learn something from a childlike innocence of believing that things are going to work out. And if for some reason there is a disruption, there could be Spirit actually clearing out energies that aren't serving you. In the final position, I have Archangel Michael, that's asking you to have the courage to see yourself from a bigger perspective. And when I say bigger, I don't mean that versus small. I mean it in the sense of, what do you want for yourselves? What, not what other people want for you, and the people that love you and think there's a certain way that things are supposed to go in order for you to be happy. I think it's about Gemini deciding what makes you happy and then leading the charge that direction. And it doesn't start by shooting out into action. It starts by conceptualizing what it feels like when you're experiencing the actual dynamic that you want. And in that respect, Archangel Michael offers you protection as you stand in the courage of your own concept of yourself. All right, let's go on to Cancer. Let's see what Spirit has to say for you this week. It was actually on your sign that last week's partial solar eclipse, I think it was the 20 degrees Cancer. So some of you may have already started feeling the effects of that eclipse. If you have, please comment below. I'd love to hear what you're experiencing. Excuse me. We've had a couple of interesting things. Last week, the day after the eclipse, the construction across the street, a bobcat actually lost control and ended up jackknifing at the end of the street. So you may be hearing about things and people, those are fated events. Those are things that come into play. No one was hurt, thank goodness, by the bobcat, but it was really those parties involved were very distracted when things got out of control. So the fated event was for them to be present in what they were doing, especially when dealing with heavy machinery. So you may be experiencing or seeing things in your own lives and around you that are calling forth for a bigger idea. It's not just about the experience, but about what it says underneath. Okay, so let's get some cards pulled for you here. All right, Cancer. Our first angel is Bethany. Our second is Isaiah. The third is Archangel Michael. And the final one is Mystique. Okay, so Bethany, again, is a card of self-care. She'll talk about getting a massage, taking a salt bath. And actually, for you moon children, that might be a good idea. Salt baths are very emotionally, spiritually, and physically detoxifying. In the Opportunity of the Obstacle, I have Isaiah, which talks about giving birth to new ideas and situations in your life. And that it's a good time to do that, a little bit of a time to maybe not relinquish the old, but capitalize and build on it. I have Archangel Michael in the Angel's Advice asking you to have the courage to not just contemplate the decisions, but to really start to water them and nurture them and give life to them, because Mystique is in the final position saying, charge ahead, don't take no for an answer, and expect miraculous solutions. Miracles to me are simply alignment with source energy. It's where I stand in the purity of my intention and what I want to experience, and I'm not sending Spirit any conflicting messages. So for my Cancers this week, I want to say this. Even if the situation that you are contemplating or the newness that you're contemplating instills a slight bit of fear in you because there's so much unknown attached to it, I'd like you to give the idea, just to add to that idea that the unknown also offers so much excitement and adventure. And as you get clarity on the type of excitement you want, the type of adventures you want, or the lack of adventure. Maybe you just want things to calm down and you just want to relax and, have a sippy cup of something. Put that out to Spirit and then allow yourself to have the courage that Archangel Michael is asking you to have, and to step into the vision of that. Not the hows, not the practicality, not the reality of what you're experiencing now. Kind of a little bit in a fantasy land. And then see if Spirit doesn't start to lay evidence, breadcrumbs, stepping stones towards those things. And then pay attention. Add them up. Because when you add them up, they'll make more sense. And then those seeming coincidences will literally be stepping stones. All right, let's go on to Leo. All right, my Leos. So you yourselves have been going through eclipses for the last year. There was quite a few eclipses in Leo. And the eclipses that are happening, this series of 3, can trigger the events from last year. So if you find yourself again seemingly in a little bit of a cul-de-sac or a do-over, or things are seeming same but different and slightly chaotic right now, I just kind of feel like giving yourself permission to step back a little bit and reassess before jumping into action. All right, let's see what Spirit has to say. First angel is Ariel, the second is Athena, the third is Francesca, and the final angel is Yvonne. So, Ariel talks about connecting to Spirit with your desires. I want to say this. When I connect with Spirit, it's never in a pleading, please, bargaining fashion. I'm never making deals with God or with the angels. There is a dynamic when we start bargaining that we're actually talking to Spirit from a fear-based place that is inadvertently asking them to give us that very challenging experience that we don't want to have. So as you connect with Spirit through study, through prayer, through meditation, allowing yourself to focus in on the gratitude and appreciation for that which you call forth, and knowing that whatever obstacles you may run into along the way are simply tools that your soul and Spirit is using in coordination to build your muscle, to enjoy the experience, to take it in, to be able to capitalize on it. Because Athena is telling you that it's safe for you to be lovingly powerful, to assert yourself. But I don't necessarily think this is about physical assertion. I've got Francesca in the Angel's Advice asking you to visualize what you desire. Your focus on the challenge of how to get it is going to block it. It's going to put, every thought is 2 thoughts. The dominant half of the thought is what you're going to experience. So if the inspired thought is 10 or 20, 30% of what you focus in on, and the challenge, the hardship, the road to get there, the unknown is the 70, 80, 90%, that's what you're going to get. So Yvonne sits in the final position asking you to be vulnerable to the bigger picture of what you want, and that bigger picture is turning it over to Spirit. So if there's something you want to experience, go to the place of celebration of that experience. I think there you'll really start to feel a bit of power coming back, a bit of your mojo, like Athena is offering you. So you won't have to roar like a huge lion in frustration. So again, connecting to Spirit with your vulnerable truth, the deepest parts of what you want, and in gratitude and in appreciation for those things, those people, those places, those dynamics. All right, let's go on to Virgo. What does Spirit have to say for you this week, my Virgos? All right, our first angel is Archangel Gabriel. The second is Francesca. The third is Opal. And the final is Rosetta. Okay, Virgo. So, I've been talking about these eclipses and how we're in the series of, 3, one every other week until the beginning of August, around the 11th. Archangel Gabriel is she has dominion over many areas, but in this particular sense, she's actually talking about communication and in communicating from a place of security rather than insecurity. I've got Francesca asking you to visualize what you desire right now. I have Opal, who is a card of saying that your children are safe on heaven and earth. And then I have Rosetta, who is also a card of dealing with children, but from a parenting teaching standpoint. So what I see here for my Virgos is, and I think I'm sounding a little repetitive, it seems like this has been going on for you guys for a while, how are you communicating with yourselves? Are you being a little hard on yourselves? Are you expecting to be more influential in a situation that you don't have control over right now? I really feel like this is a time of surrender. We have so many astrological dynamics that have been challenging. Saturn in reverse, Mars in reverse, retrograde, however you want to put it, and now these eclipses. So pushing forward, or I guess what I'm trying to say for my Virgos is I think that Archangel Gabriel is asking you to really be mindful of how you're communicating to yourselves. I feel like maybe as a collective, you guys are feeling a little defeated or a little frustrated that you haven't been able to move things forward the way you would like them to move forward. And I think that there's a certain amount of surrender. Sometimes when we've been really pushing to make something happen, we never take into consideration the other side. So if there are dynamics for the other side to benefit from or to learn from, or that they need to experience, let's say two people come together and there's some sort of contract and one person has fulfilled their half of the contract and the other person hasn't, and the person who has is frustrated, there can be a dynamic that is in play that you don't know anything about that actually will work out better than you can see right now. So I feel like Archangel Gabriel is asking you to go to that place. And if you don't know what it is and you don't even know what you want, then ask them to give you evidence that you're at least moving in the right direction. And then if for some reason you start seeing 111 everywhere, or 1111, 1011, 111, any sequence of ones, 3 or more, Spirit's telling you to watch your thoughts and to adopt that childlike innocence that everything's going to work out just fine. All right, guys, let's go on to Libra. I'm having that weird out-of-body moment when I don't even know what I'm saying anymore. Just words coming out of my mouth. I think that's when I'm most connected to Spirit, is when I'm least aware of what I'm saying. All right, my Libras, my fellow Librans. First card is Sonia. The second is Athena. The third is Xana. And the final is Seraphina. So Sonia represents a deceased loved one, saying that they are safe in heaven and earth. For me, as a collective, this is very much Spirit. Our Spirit guides are with us this week in maybe a more, how do I want to say it? Because they're with us all the time, not in a sort of voyeur way, but in a way that, like an on-call doctor, we'll put it that way. And this week, coming up on the eclipses, we just may feel it a little more acutely sensitive to the dynamics going on in the world, really looking for the balance that Libra represents. And so I feel like Spirit is saying they're close with us right now and in their own way, comforting and assuring us that we are in alignment with the things that we want. I've got Athena here saying that it's safe for me to lovingly assert myself. I've got Xana saying that I'm being protected from all types of harm. As a collective, I always see that as emotional, spiritual harm versus physical harm. And then I have Seraphina saying that there's a happy change coming to my family. So I feel like for my Librans, this week is about sort of maintaining an equilibrium that allows us to trust that what we've put forth, our intentions, our actions, our behavior, our being energy is in alignment with what we want, and that Spirit is kind of taking over. It's almost like passing the baton over to Spirit and sort of allowing for this dynamic to reveal itself. Again, you know, it's funny because when I look at Athena as saying it's safe for me to lovingly assert myself, I don't feel like that's physical action. It feels more like it's permission in my heart and my mind to assert myself and to know that as I do that, I'm being protected as Spirit puts people, places, and things into my life to support that dynamic. All right, let's go on to Scorpio. What does Spirit have to say for you this week? Woo! All right, our first card is Celeste. The second is Isaiah. The third is Xana. And the final is Astera. All right, my Scorpios, I really want to say this. Celeste talks about a happy move to a new place of employment or a new job. But for me, it's always about my thought process, because how I think, what I believe about myself is how I walk into a situation. So for me, Celeste is offering you a shift in your thought process, and Isaiah is supporting that, saying it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations. This new situations aren't necessarily about physical action. It's actually about the way you're processing things emotionally from a different place. You know, Scorpio, you're intuitive, your mind works very quickly on a very deep level. You're ruled by Neptune. No, that's not true. You're ruled by Pluto and Mars. But there's a watery Neptunian energy to this week, is the way I want to put it. And I feel like as you dig a little deeper into the true motives of why you're thinking the way you're thinking and processing the things the way you're processing them, and are you being overly responsible? Are you taking on too much emotional blame? And should you maybe be putting your foot down a little bit and saying, you know, I don't want to be doing this anymore. I don't want to be treated this way anymore. I don't want to play the other person's game if I'm not getting any benefit from it. Because not only is Xana protecting you from physical harm, I mean, really a spiritual and emotional harm, but Astera is saying it's time for you to reach for the stars. I feel like, Scorpio, this week, maybe it's a good opportunity for you to examine some of the dynamics in your life and decide whether or not they really are supporting the bigger vision you have for yourself. And if they are not, maybe it's time to start thinking about new things, new dynamics. So if for some reason you're in a relationship and you keep having to chase that relationship, maybe it's time to just let it run away. Maybe it's time to say, you know what? This is exhausting. I can't do this anymore. I can't do this for a lifetime. And look at what you're getting back. Or maybe you're not giving enough to your people or your situations. And maybe it's time that if you can't give enough, that you move on to something that you feel you can give yourself to. And this is not just about your physical action and your doing, but about your passion, about what you feel about it from the inside out. How motivating is things for you right now? Because you know, when it gets rough and there's enough passion involved, it helps us see our way through the rough times. But if there's no passion, or we're moving someone else's story forward, or we're in a dynamic where we don't feel satisfied, then those rough patches become really rough. So Celeste is asking you to think about to observe how you're really processing things and if it's serving your highest good. Because if it isn't, it's time to give birth to new ideas and new situations. And maybe if you let go of the imbalance of yesteryear or the old story, you'll get to see something different, because it is time to reach for the stars with your dreams and your desires. And compromise seems to have to be off the table if you're really going to want it, or if you're really going to get it. You can want it forever, but if you're going to get it, you're going to have to sort of say no to those really startling and loud places that are saying, this is not working. It's just not working. All right, guys, let's go on to Sagittarius. All right, my Sagittarius, what's happening for you? Your ruling planet, Jupiter, went direct. Some good news in the sky. The planet of expansion, higher knowledge, travel, foreign things. Good luck. It's finally moving direct. Maybe give us a little reprieve from all the retrograde planets. You know, I know we as humans thinking forward motion is always a positive thing, but you know, as I said, a reprieve from the retrograde planets, I felt like the retrograde planets say, hey, everybody needs a break. And maybe the break isn't about stopping, but reassessing or assessing for the first time what is going on. Have I been running my life on automatic pilot, just doing what I'm supposed to do, getting up every day, da 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 da? I don't know. Anyway, let's go on, Sagittarius. Let's see. Astera, reach for the stars with your dreams and desires. Do not compromise. Archangel Michael saying, have courage. Have courage to step into your dreams. Because if you never have the courage, we can't deliver it. Azure's here saying your desired outcome will happen in the very near future. Don't try to force it. Forcing something is a resistant energy. It's actually fear. Fear it won't happen. I've got to over-control it. I've got to make it happen. Crystal is in the final position saying have faith and hope because there's something new and positive on the horizon that you can't see. Sagittarius, this week is really probably not about forward motion at all in the actual action of it. It's about fleshing out your dreams a little bit more. It's about digging deeper into them. You know, so I want to be a movie star when I grow up. Well, what kind of movie star do I want to be? Do I want to be a dramatic actress? Do I want to be a comedic actress? Do I want to be on Broadway? Do I want to be, you know, on a soap opera? There's so many dynamics that I think when we sort of start to consider our lives, we don't allow those dreams to blossom as much. Sometimes I think we just think about them from sort of, oh, it'd be great if I had $1 million. Maybe we need to think about what we do with that $1 million or how we'd process that $1 million. I really feel like this week for Sagittarius is not about making things happen. It's about taking your dreams to the next level. It's about digging deeper. What's it going to feel like 5 years from now when you're doing what you think you want to do, or being who you want to be, or being with who you want to be with? All right, let's go on to Capricorn. All right, what does Spirit have to say for Capricorn this week? All right, first angel is Yvonne, the second is Vanessa, the third is Archangel Raphael, and the final is Shanti. Well, this is very interesting, Capricorn. So Yvonne for me is a card of vulnerability. It's a card of saying if I want something, if I want a dynamic, I literally have to be vulnerable to not only the idea of it, but to everything about it. If we're going to love something wholeheartedly, there is always the chance that we may lose it. We may lose it to many different things. We may lose our lover to another lover. We may lose a lover to death. We may lose a lover because we've been unconscious in our relationship and just sort of going through the motions. I don't think that any of those scenarios are necessarily in play for you, Capricorn, as much as I think Spirit is asking you to be vulnerable to a deeper part of yourself. And Vanessa is saying, are you going to make your decisions based on fear or faith? Fear is the challenging road to how to get there, how you have to make it happen, how the goat has to traverse the mountain to make it happen. I don't think it's supposed to be like that for you. I think at this juncture, I've got Archangel Raphael in the angel's advice, and I have Shanti in the final position. Capricorn, there is Spirit asking you to be vulnerable to a deeper dream within yourself. And rather than jumping up again and taking action, it's more about allowing yourself to have faithful thoughts about this dynamic. Because as you have faithful thoughts, you know, if I want to do this, why can't I do this? Why not me? Why, instead of the opposite? I feel like, again, practicality and reality are getting in my way, and I need to shake that up a little bit, because I feel like there is a Shanti offering peace is not a peace because the road is clearer. The peace is the permission you've given yourselves to do something that you want that may not be practical to anybody else but you. And doing things for our heart chakra, to fill and to feel our passions, is an extremely important part of the human experience. And it gets dumbed down all the time. If we watch any amount of television, you'll see that we are being peppered with, we're swirling the drain, and somewhere we're going to fly down. And I really believe that Spirit's asking you, Capricorns, this week to start to go the other direction, to be vulnerable to life is good, and to be vulnerable to it can get better. It doesn't have to get worse. And as I step on that faithful step, I am healed in the reconciliation of that, because I then know that I am not only co-creating, but it's stronger than co-creating. It's like an intention. It's an intention that says, beyond the challenges, I will thrive. Not survive, I will thrive. All right, let's go on to Aquarius. All right, Aquarius, what do we have this week for you? Our first angel is Omega, the second is Ray, the third is Xana, and the final is Archangel Michael. Very interesting. It seems this week, we're already at the 11th sign here. Very much, a lot of this is interior work this week. Omega offers victory, that your desired outcome will happen in the near future. Keep up the good work. Ray is about my thought process. For me, and she talks about yoga being essential to my well-being, but she's sitting in a meditative position. She's connecting her power chakra up through the top of her head, through her third eye. She's flanking that by her heart chakra and her thought chakra. This is where I shift the way I'm thinking. I've turned over to Spirit the bigger desires, and in that I am victorious. And Xana offers me spiritual and emotional protection. Archangel Michael also offers me protection. He is the great protector. But at this time, he's not only offering you protection, but courage. Courage to stand in the idea of victory. And victory is never won on a smooth road. There's always some challenge. Self-doubt might be one. Opposition from others might be another. I really think that at this time, Omega and Archangel Michael are asking you to focus in on the things that have been working, Aquarius, the progress that you've made, and to continue to have courage to go through the ebb and the flow of conquering, and then at some points feeling a bit of defeat. And I don't think it's defeat in the sense of you're not winning. It's just an opportunity to learn, an opportunity to hone your skills. If we never had challenges, we would never know what we were capable of. A smooth road is actually a kind of scary road, because it's always somewhere feeling like something's happening to us versus us making something happen. So here, I just want to say your real victory comes through your belief in yourself, that as you not only take physical steps towards your dreams, desires, wants, it's also important for you to line up energetically with them. All right, let's go on to our final sign, Pisces. Here we go, Pisces. All right, Pisces, our first angel is Shanti. The second is Celeste. The third is Francesca. And the final is Fiona. So Shanti is the angel of peace. But before peace can come in, whatever's disrupting that peace gets to be balanced out, moved out, reconciled. I have Celeste, which talks about a happy move to a new home or a new place of employment. I always, especially in a collective, see Celeste as the way I think, because no matter what I think, you can put me in any physical location and I'm going to process things by the way what I believe, and what I believe will be the stepping stone of my actions. Francesca is saying, what do you desire right now? Visualize it and it will come about. Negativity will block your progress. So here, Francesca is directly saying that as you pay attention to what you're thinking, as you pay attention to your thought process, Shanti, the peace that Shanti offers you, will come into play. Because there are certain dynamics when we put intentions into the world. Yes, we are responsible for creating, but we are always co-creating. To what degree depends on the situation, but we are really never 100% responsible for an outcome. There's too many variables on the planet. So Fiona is sitting in the final position saying, Pisces, now that you've asked God and the angels for help, be open to receiving our guidance. This is in direct relation to Shanti. So as you know that I'm going to shift the way I'm thinking to allow Spirit to show me a different experience, or at least evidence that a smoother road is coming ahead. And I then take action from a guided place. I don't think Pisces should take action from reaction. Like if for some reason something happens, don't go there. Allow whatever the situation is to sort of marinate for a minute so that you can allow Spirit to illuminate a path. And in doing so, probably they'll be able to rectify whatever it is that's disrupting the harmony quicker than you can. And I just want to go one more thing with you, Pisces. There was a situation with me when I was talking to somebody and I used a phrase that triggered them. And I tried to clarify what I was saying because the phrase was sort of just, one of those cliche things that you say. And I wasn't making any headway trying to clarify my point. So I was inspired to say to the other person, how can I make you feel heard right now? So maybe in order to really usher in that peace, you might find yourself in a situation where only way you're going to find peace is if you actually put the focus on the other dynamic, the other person, and try to allow yourself to be open to receiving their communication. And in doing so, acting as Spirit's, how do I want to put that? Because as you open up and give somebody the floor and give them your ear, it shifts the dynamic. It moves them out of defensiveness. It moves them into, wow, you're listening. It can just be a very, it's almost as if I see for Pisces, there's the potential of a very disruptive situation turning into something that becomes a gem or a pearl, something beautiful out of something a little icky. All right, that's it for this week. Again, guys, we've got our second of 3 eclipses and the most powerful and potent and closest to the earth in over 100 years. So your patience with others and yourself during this week will be really, really helpful. And if you'd like to book a private session or find out more about my work, all the information is below. Thank you so much. Comment, like, subscribe, and share. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye-bye, everybody.